pew 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 pew. Boom boom. Gotcha. Yeah. Oh. Yes. Welcome once again to that show that you love to love, coming to you live on tape from the bowels of historic downtown St. John's in the Library of Graphic Literature. Yay! With your host, me, Wallace Ryan. Glad to have you over here today. Unfortunately, Luna's at work, so it's my turn. And we're going to do an extra long one, but then it was just like, well, we'll split it up. And I want to do that anyway because it's Thanksgiving, and this episode is to give thanks for the genius that was known as Joe Matt, who unfortunately passed away recently, and is was one of my favorite cartoonists of all time. So had to mention him, had to talk to him, had to talk about him. I was first, of course, introduced to Joe back in the 90s when actually when I came across this little beauty here, Peep Show, the cartoon diary of Joe Matt, and then of course the show, the series itself. But I love this book. My late wife too, she also loved it. It's it's a great story of a relationship between him and his him and his girlfriend Trish, as he calls her in this, and it's kind of, I love it. It's at times I know he can seem to be like a bit of a hard case and all that, but I think deep down he had a heart of gold, and I sense that from his books and his writings. He just seemed to be, he just seemed to be a nice guy who could be honest with his comics, and that's what I loved about his comics as compared to a lot of autobiographical stuff you see these days. His was one of my favorite. I put him right up there with the likes of Harvey P. Kerr, Peter Bagg, his pals Seth and Chester Brown, and even myself. And actually it's people like that inspired me, because I do a lot of autobiographical comics myself, and he was one of the people that inspired me to do it. Anyway, this book here, when I first got it, I read through it, and they're like 1 and 2 page diary entries and all that, and I loved it. It was absolutely fabulous. They're very, very funny, very insightful, and like I say, I like his raw honesty, right? Him coming out and telling it like it is, but telling it like it is too in a way that's, it spoke to me, especially myself being raised a Catholic myself. There's a lot of stuff that he talks about that really did hit home. I met him in New York at a I think it was at a Mocha event one time. Got a really neat sketch, which I'll show you later. But I actually came to know more online on Facebook. Ended up having a few chats with him and all that, and he even said when we were having one chat one time, messaging back and forth, he said, I really don't usually talk to guys, but you seem okay. And I was like, right on. So we had some great discussion. We shared a lot of interests in common, comic strips especially, and a lot of the older comics both of us equally loved. So there was a true meeting of minds, and he was a delight to discuss with. Loved commenting on his posts. He had some cool posts. He was always so concerned about his cat. I love that because I'm a big cat lover myself. I have 3 cats outside this door just dying to get in here and tell you how much they love Joe. But yeah, so if the place to start really would be this one, Peep Show, the cartoon diary of Joe Matt. Now, I actually have another copy of this, but I can't find it. So I actually went out and I bought this, and I actually hope that and DQ especially, I'd love to see them actually reprint, do a, and I even mentioned to him, do a Peep Show omnibus. I'd love to see all of his works in one big volume. And like I say, it's very it's intense. It's personal. It can make you feel uncomfortable if you're, especially if you're anyway sexually repressed. Some of the stuff he talks about gonna flip you out. But there's an honesty in this work that, like I say, just makes it so worthwhile. And it's funny, when I was messaging with him one time, I said to him that one of the things that really hit home in this, and this, like I say, this is where art can reach out, and you can identify with it because it has something that's from your past too. And I found it, and I told him this too. It's from page 41, The Amazing Grace, A Child's Guide to Self-Entertainment in Church. And I know exactly what he was talking about. And, reading it was pretty funny. He's smelling people's farts. He's counting the butts on the bench. He's amusing himself by drawing on his hand and doing an impression and playing shuffleboard with the hymnals. My parents would have killed me if I had to try that. But the one that really stuck in my mind, and talk about identifying, the thing that stuck most in my mind was this, and I'll show you the panel up close after I read it to you. It says, "Other times, to get a little attention, I'd sink my teeth into the soft wood of the pew's handrail." The pew being the bench ahead of you. So when you'd be kneeling down, you'd be sort of leaning on the bench from in front of you. And I used to do this myself and my brother Jeff. When we'd be there, we'd be leaning on it, waiting to be able to sit back in the seat. And at some point, we would start to do this. Pretend this is the top of the pew. We'd go like. And I guarantee you go into any Catholic church and check the backs of the pews, you're going to see little tiny children teeth marks all over. Bound. It got to be. Because if I did it way up here on the edge of Canada and he was down there in Philadelphia doing it, then they're all over the place. But yeah, love it. He even mentions, brings Matt Wagner's in here. It's just great. Like I say, he really does capture himself very well, I think. But like I say, to me, like I say, my late wife, she loved his stuff. She loved his honesty. It was just like, she wished more men were like this. More men were in touch with themselves like that. So this is a great place to start the cartoon diary. I love this so much. So, Thanksgiving, thank you for that. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find any of his other hardcovers because I'm sure I had two other ones there. But I did have Spent. And this, of course, is... Oh, geez, I didn't show you the... actually, that one drawing here of... that I was talking about the teeth on the... see it there? We used to do the exact same thing, so that was what was so funny there. Anyway, back to Spent here. And I think the best thing that can tell you about this is there's a little drawing on the back. There's a little strip here on the back. It's two girls. They come up. Oh my God, Tiffany, look, a book called Spent. No way. It's probably about a shopaholic who can't stop spending every last dime on clothes. That sounds familiar. Oh my God, it's like a comic book. Oh wait, what's this guy doing? It looks like, oh, he's lying on his stomach and jerking off to porn. And over he's naked and peeing into a bottle, which I will admit, I have peed into a bottle, as most men have, but will never ever admit it. And then back to this, ooh, gross, who is this guy? What the hell is his problem? It says his name's Joe Matt. God, he's pathetic. Look, he's whining about not having a girlfriend because he's addicted to porn. Here he is, jerking off again. Joe Matt, wherever you are, you're the world's biggest, ugliest loser. Let's go, look at shoes. And as they walk away, you see Joe sitting at the table there with a really downcast look to himself. But that's what I like about him. I mean, he could write about subjects, like I say, that would just turn other people off. What I do like in this one is his talk, his conversations with Seth, who also I'm a huge fan of. Seth actually went to the same art school as I did around at the same time, but he was in another group from me. But I knew of him because he was, he stood out. He didn't look at all like he looks now, but and like I say, another autobiographical genius, of course. But the three of them together, they were like the three musketeers of autobiographical comics. Chester Brown, of course, I love his Yummy Fur, but I loved his Louis Riel even better. His Paying Forward was a little bit more painful, and once again, going into subjects like Joe did that make people feel uncomfortable, but should be talked about. I mean, this when I read this, the other thing too was when I was reading all this, it's just like, yep, this is what happens to young boys like me, cartoonists who are raised Catholic. Because I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to go into any part that I share with him. So, and any of his books, his other two are that, what was it, that oh God, it's, let's see here now. Oh no. Yeah, nice picture of him. What is it, that bastard and I can't remember the exact name of it. And oh God, what was the other one? Anyway, they're all good. They're neat little packages like this. So pick them up. They're so worth reading. Now the other thing too that with Joe, which was a great thing about him too, that I like talking to him about older comics, about old comic strips like Dick Tracy, which he seemed to be a big fan of, and I actually ended up buying some books off him because he was always selling books and stuff like that. I bought a set of John Stanley books off him, Nancy and the like, and we were chatting, and I came across the fact that he had a book. He had a book for sale, and I seen it. And it was just like, oh my God! It was Winsor McCay's Dream Days, which have basically it's a collection of miscellanea. It Was Only a Dream, Dreams of the Rarebit Fiend, etc., etc. Both of us, of course, big Winsor McCay fans. And also too, when he sent these to me, they were all perfectly packaged and got here in one piece. So that was another thing I appreciated about it. But what I liked the best about this book too, in particular, was he said, do you want me to sign it or something like that? And I said, sure. I said, even if you want to do a little sketch, feel free. And he said, oh, I got the perfect idea what we should do. And this was the sketch he did for the inside of the book he sold me. And I will always cherish this book. This is one of the gems, I believe, of my collection. Also, I did find, and it was funny because I was talking to him about it. It was about a week before he died, and I told him about how I'd met him at the Mocha and how he did me the coolest sketch. And I told him I was going to share it with him, but I never did get to share it with him, so I'm going to share it with all you folks. From 2007. And he was friendly enough, and when he drew it for me, I laughed and thanked him very much because it was classic Joe. Classic Joe. We also talked, and I picked these up just to talk. We shared a love for Plop, which was really cool, and for comic strips in general. So I mean, like I said, I only had the pleasure of meeting him in person once, but all the chats online and all that, it was fun, and I will miss his knowledge, his warmth, everything like that. Just seemed like a really nice guy, and I'd like to pass on condolences, of course, to his family, to his friends, to Chester and Seth, to Matt Wagner, who he worked with, Diana Schultz, and her sister Barb, I think it is. All who were very good friends of his and all that, and I'm sure that and I know they miss him too, as the comic book world does. So Joe, this one's for you. So I'm going to close off this. I mean, I knew I could talk about Joe for a long time. It's easy enough. But I thought, okay, is there, I mean, he did, like I say, and he had love for Peanuts, which I did too. But I figured, okay, what among all my new books that I was going to have in the big show would I think that he would have bought? And of course, I came across the latest volume of For Better or For Worse by Lynn Johnson. This is volume, which one is it? Volume 7. I've got the other ones hidden behind me here somewhere. Oh, right down there. And with this book, once again, I now, once again, have a complete collection of the Library of American Comics, which you should do. It's going to be kind of hard because it's hard to find someone, but it's these folks are doing the art form a huge favor by saving these, by putting them together in these cool volumes and all that. I know that Joe liked the Dick Tracy ones and all that, and would have loved to have actually had them up here and had a look. But like I say, Library of American Comics, they've done the art form a huge it's a huge honor, and it's a huge help to the art form. They're to me they're helping to save a lot of stuff that over the next decades and the next few hundred years are going to be lost, because I mean all the newspapers that these strips were in will all have turned to dust long ago, and but fortunately we have these really nice volumes on really nice paper, and most paper tends to be acid free these days, so it will last forever. But yeah, so I picked up this, and as it says here, the whole family is coming and going. Grandpa Jim moves into the Patterson home, while Elizabeth moves in with her boyfriend. Michael and Weed move to Toronto. But then Michael moves again when he and Deanna get married. Plus, Ellie buys a bookstore. April forms a garage band, and much, much, much more. I'm still working my way through the early volumes. And at first, when I was a kid, when I was younger, when it first came out, I wasn't a big fan of it. But as it got along, and especially as I got older and more mature, it was just like, in a lot of ways, this is autobiographical comics in strip form. And I think that's what made it so popular. Not only that, but she has a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful line. Really love her drawing style. If there's someone who can do cartooning to the best, oh, I don't know if you can hear that. That was a horse walking by the library here. But yeah, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's have a look through anyway, just to relive how beautiful. I mean, amazing artist. Like I say, I always loved her drawing style. I mean, very realistic. I mean, not realistic, but very great cartooning, and it really brings all the characters to life. And as I got older, I became to appreciate her stuff more and more, and of course, being a Canadian, of course, we love that. But yeah, she, to me, it's I put her in the same class, even though it's not as raw and uncooked as Peep Show or Hate or any of these. It's still quite beautiful and quite nice. There's just something very lyrical and poetic in it, even in her line, right? So, and I am, of course, going to collect all 10 volumes of this, and I will actually read them all at some point. I plan to, because I just got to. It's why buy books if I'm just going to leave them there and not read them. So anyway, a beautiful, beautiful one. And now next week, of course, Luna will be back with me, and we'll be, what will we be looking at? We'll be looking at, oh yes, the Red Sonja finally came in for me, so I got that. I got a Disney book, I do believe. There's a new book that I'm going to pick up tonight at the store. I won't tell you which one it is. But yeah, I'll have a nice little stack of books to go over next week with Luna here. And we're going to have a lot of fun. That being said, I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Of course, happy birthday to Luna. And we'll see you next week. And in the meantime, oh yes, check out our Thursday Comics podcast with me and Dennis Osborne. We got 2 giant-sized ones in a row. One of them is about double dipping in terms of books that we've bought twice. And God, I can't remember what the other one was. Double dipping and oh, there was another one. Anyway, we got two coming up. Gonna be beautiful. Actually, hang on a sec. Yeah, no, I thought. Oh, here's his notes here. Sure. Here's Dennis's notes here. Wolverine Weapon X. Yeah, okay, that was the thing. I guess the. Yeah. Oh yes, and the other one was Easter eggs. The other one was Easter eggs, comic book Easter eggs, not movie Easter eggs. Shag them. So both of them pretty cool. You should check them out, and they're lovely, lovely. That being said, I have to go back now into the kitchen now because I'm cooking a turkey. So I took a break in between to come out and shoot a quick episode of In the Library of Graphic Literature. Yay! Of course, thank you very much. Love you all out there. Have a great Thanksgiving. Bye!